I know this is going to surprise a lot of people, and it's going to definitely surprise this player himself. I am going to choose Jorbage.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our second iteration of Playoff In Review. I am joined with a plethora of lovely men. I've got Local, Speed, Magic Pep, and Bubs. I think this is the Bubs and Local face reveal, so we're super excited for them. And we're going to give y'all a great rundown of the whole second half of playoffs, Semifinal 1, Semifinal 2, and the Grand Finals. And kicking things off, we've got Speed with the Novice League.
Yeah, what's going on, everyone? Just want to say playoffs was amazing. We have some huge upsets. We had some huge game sevens that might necessarily not have been, expected as well. So playoffs was amazing. But yeah, we're gonna kick it off here in the Novice League in the semifinals. One of those kind of unexpected huge upsets where you had Frost sweeping the Hounds. Frost coming in at that 5 seed, the Hounds being that number 1 seed. So definitely wasn't expected. Frost may have not have necessarily been an underdog in that match, but the outcome of that sweep was not expected at all. And I don't know what you guys thought, but that was not what I expected. But that was just a great overall performance by Frost there. And then semifinals 2, also a great match. Didn't quite go as I expected either. Spitfires taking that one over Vandals in the 2-3 matchup, and Spitfires coming in at the 2 seed, Vandals coming in at a 3 seed, and Spitfires taking that 4-2. I expected Vandals to come out and be a little more stronger in that one, but it seemed to me that they kind of just lost their fire. And that was really surprising to me. I expected that to go all the way to 7, but I don't know about you guys, but what did you guys think about those 2 games that we had?
Well, I mean, I guess I'll go first. I agree with you, Speed. I think my biggest surprise of the novice playoffs was really the Frost 4-0 over Hounds. You expect Hounds to at least put up a fight coming in at the number 1 seed, but I'm really glad Frost ended up winning it because it did end up leading to a hell of a grand finals. But the Frost series was definitely my big surprise in the semis.
Yeah,
I'm the exact same.
yeah. I'll go next here if you don't mind, Local.
Go ahead. The floor's all yours, Magic.
Not to cut you off, but yeah, I was kind of disappointed with the Hounds. I thought they were going to do a lot better. I know Frost was expected to probably win that game because they have really good players, but I thought Hounds were a much better team than getting 0-4, and especially watching Spitfires kind of just control the series against Frost. I mean, it was a game 7, but it still kind of showed the gap between, example, Hounds versus Spitfires, what that would have looked like. So, but the Spitfires, they impressed me. I did not expect them to beat Frost at all, and they looked pretty dominant even in a 7-game series. So, Novice was pretty fun to watch.
Exactly that. Novice this season has been one of the most fun leagues to watch in all of Nemesis. It's been one of the most topsy-turvy seasons you could ever ask for anywhere.
And
that
toxic.
Frost. Just don't forget the toxicity. There's been ups and downs of toxicity. There's been FFs, there's been Jorbage. Jorbage has been an exciting prospect to watch, though, in this league. Going from the 0-18 Wisps last season to eventually getting to that grand finals, it was intriguing to watch his story, apart from the toxicity, but it was very good to watch. But that Frost 4-0, even me as an AGM of the Sub-Zero org, I had Hounds beating Frost, and they just blew my expectations at the wire.
Yeah, Oh, you can go, Speed.
No, I was just gonna ask if you had anything to say, Bubs. I know you're up there in that Titan League, so I don't know how much you follow down there on those newbies in the Novice League. But what do you got for us?
No, I like to watch it because you kind of just get to see the growth of of how players get better at the game. That's what I really like about the league is that you got people that maybe take the game a little more casual or the people that are just trying to climb the rank ladder, And like that's why I really like watching is like over the seasons you have players go from novice all the way up to Titan and they just get better and better. But the Frost 4-0, I think in my playoff bracket I had Hounds beating them 4-1. So when I saw that happen, originally I thought nothing would stop Frost from winning. But then Spitfires played one hell of a series. I don't think going into the final after how Frost played, most people expected Spitfires to put up that well of a fight or even just win. So genuinely like a really, really crazy novice semi and grand final.
I bet
Yeah,
all
I'd
my points on Frost and they lost.
Yeah, that was a big thing right there. Yeah, so we'll mention that grand finals. Spitfires, you had the 2 seed against Frost, the 5 seed, and like everyone was saying, Frost coming in really hot, unexpected sweep off the number 1 seed. Kind of expected to take that grand finals, and Spitfires did take that one in 7. Very, very demandingly. It did go 7, but they definitely showed that they were the better team throughout the whole series, even if they did drop 3 games. So definitely well deserving to them. Better team came out on top in the end, and Spitfires, definitely showed that. Surprising to me though, that was a surprising outcome there. Definitely thought Frost was going to run away with that after watching those 2 semifinal matches. And just overall, you really see it any given day, anyone can win between these top teams. So, especially in these lower leagues. But I know we have that saying, novice moment. But watching this grand finals, there wasn't really a novice moment, I think, in any of the game sevens. Like these players all played very well. The mistakes that they had were very minimum, and I expected to see more mistakes coming out of both teams, and I didn't see hardly any. And if they were just mistakes that maybe they weren't quite up to that skill level yet, and they tried to do something that they probably shouldn't have done. But that's just them trying to perform at the highest that they can instead of making novice moments. So
Yeah.
I thought that they all played like you looking at that series, and you could have looked at it and been like, "Oh, this is a prospect finals,
Yeah, I
not
was
a
about to
novice
say that.
finals."
Yeah, that's one of the things I wanted to say was like it looked like you were watching either high prospect or low challenger because especially that Frost team stayed in the air like so much and they were so consistent in the air. I was like, there's no way they lose this, but I ended up casting this one with Psycho, and it was a fun cast because if you just watch the skill of the players on the field, like Frost is faster, their shooting is deadlier, they're they were a dominant team, but they were very like solo play oriented. And Spitfires, like they just had the better teamwork, and they were able to lock it down and just really showed that it's a team game, it's not an individual game. And you know, hate on the guy all you want, but I think Jorbage stepped up, going 0-18 to honestly having like the series of his life there in the finals. I think he scored like 6 or 7 goals in that series, which is nuts,
Mhm.
especially against a Frost team that is so fast and definitely puts like a lot of the novice players out of their element.
Yeah, with Jorbage, I mean, I went back because I like to go look at like stats for everybody the whole series. Jorbage was on the bottom, but like he did so much for the team. Like that kind of just proves like stats don't mean everything. Like he, like you said, had like 8, 10 goals, a lot of assists. He had a ton of demos too.
Mhm.
So like
Yeah,
he definitely was the difference maker in that series, I feel like.
I looked at the stats too, and I'm glad you mentioned that because like North was way up here, and then like Relo, is that his name? Relo or Rilo?
Rilo.
Rilo. I called him Relo a lot and he got mad at me, so I'm sorry. Rilo, like Rilo barely beat Jorbage by like 2 points a game average. But if you look at Jorbage's stat line, he had the same goals per game as North on better shooting, He had better assists than North. Not quite as many saves, but he had more demos. And that's a great stat line, even though you didn't put up a lot of points.
Mm-hmm. I
And
think
that's all you have for Novice, or what else you have for Novice?
Hmm.
Y'all good in Novice? We can head on to Prospect and keep it rolling. Y'all are
Oh, yeah.
good?
Is
All
it?
right. Prospect was a mess this season. I think we.
Wait. I want to know everyone's pick for MVP
Oh,
for.
Yeah, I was
yeah.
gonna
Forgot about that
ask that.
part.
Yeah, I was
Ooh.
gonna ask MVP pick for the finals.
Ooh.
You got
Um,
speed?
I want to hold off last since I'm kind of leading this one. So let's go.
Mm.
Let's go with you, Magic. Who do you got? Mind you, hold on.
Mm.
I do want to remind everyone before we do this. It does not have to be from the winning team. I know a lot of people
Mhm.
think that, but it can swing the other way. Just because they lost does not mean that they did not deserve it. So keep that in mind for especially later on when we get going down some of these other leagues. Go ahead,
All right.
Magic.
All right. I feel like Jorbage is an easy answer, but that's not who I'm going to go with. I thought North impressed me a lot. I've played with him so much. Back on the Warhawks, he was the guy I would, like getting into the org. I played with him. He was so helpful. And to see him succeed was amazing. And I thought he played very clutch. Like, he did not look like he had any pressure on him at all. And he kind of led the team. Like, it was a group effort, as you said, Squirrel, but I felt like North led the charge. So I'm going to have to give it to North because he popped off.
Bubs.
From my, Ooh, yeah, bud.
For me, like you said, I'm happy you said something about the losing team because Ibonic had the series of his life in the final. He played insane. And I mean, I'm pretty good friends with Ibonic, so I guess you could call it like me showing favoritism, but that was easily the best I've ever seen him play. Like, he honestly looked like a medium to high challenger in that series.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think just because of the clutch factor, I would give it to either North or Jorbage. Probably North just because of the stat line, I guess. But it really could go to like 3 people in that novice final.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agreed 100%. And Local, what do you got?
I'm honestly gonna go with Rilo. Rilo was kind of like under the seams in that series. He was always there, but not really being mentioned. He always like made an impact when it was needed and came through when he needed to. And it kind of was just like the underrated pick for me for the MVP of that series. But for Frost, if it could go to Frost, I'd say Paranoid Monk. From what I've seen, he put out a shift. He did a
Yeah.
really good job for coming in just at the end of the season for these boys, and honestly, he played a lot better than what I was expecting from him.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of those two guys for me.
And Squirrel.
You know, nothing beats a good comeback story. 0-18 to Grand Finals champion. I've got to give it to Jorbage.
Yeah.
For a few reasons. He broke the ice. He scored their first goal of the series. He almost averaged 1 goal a game. He put in the goal that ended that 6-minute 50-something second overtime, and that's momentum. And I'm pretty sure he put in the last goal of the series. And North had that one game in game 6 or 5 or 6, I think it was, where he scored 3 goals, but like Jorbage assisted like 2 of them, and he got a demo on one of them, and that's just like the man had a huge impact in the game, and to me, he was the valuable player in that one.
One thing too, Jorbage respected a rule 1 in game 7.
Yes, yeah, that was crazy. When you've got Jorbage, someone that's popping off, going in a rule 1 against one of the weaker guys on Frost, and you leave your team in a 2v2 against Ibonic and Sinatario.
The
And
best
they win
players
it.
in novice.
That takes gonads.
It does take gonads to respect that and respects to them. And I'm gonna give my pick here, and I know this is gonna surprise a lot of people, and it's gonna definitely surprise this player himself. I am gonna choose Jorbage. Jorbage and I don't always see eye to eye. Actually, we don't see eye to eye at all. Since we had our encounter last season. But besides that, he earned it. He was an impactful player in every game. He didn't just show up for one game and get a lot of goals and assists in one game. He was there every game. I think he scored in every game besides game 5 or game 4. Was the only game he didn't get a goal in, but he scored in every game. He was zooming around the field. He was always there. He was putting pressure when needed, giving his teammates time to get back defensively when he needed. And I think personally that Jorbage, deserves and should take home that MVP for this novice finals MVP. So with that being said, Magic, we'll hand it off to you, and we'll get us going for this prospect semis and grand finals.
Okay, so prospect, I think at the end of the day, we did end up with the 4 teams we expected to be there. Pretty much like halfway through the season, you could kind of tell who the 4 best teams were. They were winning consistently against the better opponents. And it did come out to be Origin, Faded, and then Flurry and Velocity. And in that first one, it was Origin and Faded. And I was casting that one, and I thought Faded was going to pull it off. They were up 3-1, and they were not able to close it out. Origin, they took it in game 7, and that was one of the best series I've seen Origin play in terms of they had everything. Like if they lose one game, all their hard work, all their incredible season meant nothing. They were 14-4, and it meant nothing. And they made it. They made it happen. They came back, and that was a fun series to watch and to cast. So that was a banger. Flurry Velocity was tragic, and I'm gonna hate talking about this, but Velocity played an incredible series, and Flurry did not. We did not play very well. Um, I thought we had. I mean, Velocity. They just played a lot better as a team, and I felt like Flurry did not make the team effort to win that series. There's a lot of solo efforts. It's a lot like how Frost lost their game to Spitfires. It wasn't a team effort, and Velocity, they're an incredible unit, and I mean they made it work. So through the semis, I think the 2 teams that deserved to win, they won and gave us the best grand finals we probably could have had. So I was a fan of how those semis ended, even though I didn't win. So
Yeah, I definitely agree with you with the whole, best 4 teams that deserve to be there in the semis definitely made it there. I hate to admit that because for a while, toward right at the midway point of the season, you could have argued that Glads were in one of those spots, but
Sure.
we did fall off halfway through the season, right at that halfway point, which is unfortunate. So, but I don't think honestly after how everything played out, I wouldn't have asked for a better prospect tournament as a whole. Origin, great performance, battling back, showing why they were a true number 1 seed coming into this. Great performance there. And I don't want to say it, but Flurry, such a disappointment from how they played against Hypernova, which was a bottom team all season. They came out so hard towards the end of the season, and they were able to play as a team, and really they overcame Hypernova. Like Hypernova was looking really good, and Flurry just dominated them, and then to see them go up against Velocity, it was honestly it made me cry a little bit because I knew you guys could have done better, Magic Pep, and it was just I don't know what was going on, but it was hard to see for sure, and I know it was definitely hard for you to play in as well. But like you said, the 2 teams, 1 and 2, they deserved it. Ended up making it into the grand finals with Velocity and Origin, and I I think heading up to that point that it was just an amazing semifinals as well. So I would have to agree with you on all of that.
I'd like to say, if the way Velocity played against Flurry, although it was tragic, Flurry kind of had the target on their back. Velocity coming from that win against Banshees, I believe it was. They just had momentum throughout. They were playing like their hearts were on the line. Everything depended on them winning. There's fantastic gameplay from them. But on the other side, in the Origin Faded game, I don't know how Faded didn't win that one. Like, I was surprised to see Origin fight back. Faded needing that one game, just not able to find it, was mind-boggling to me. Like, I honestly thought they had it in the bag.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. Like the Origin really dug deep in that semifinal one to win that one, and it was super exciting to see. And the semifinal 2 with Flurry Velocity, like I think the same thing that happened to Pineapples in Rival happened to Flurry. You know, a game 7 in playoffs is a lot emotionally, and then you win that game 7, you move on to the next round, and you play a team that's just a little bit better. And you gave so much in that earlier round that you just couldn't quite find it in that one. And then Velocity coming off, like you said, the 4-0 against Banshees. All the momentum, none of that adrenaline rush of a game 7. So I think they were just able to coast, kind of like in Rival League, what happened to us. But overall, I'm glad it all played out that way. I think any of these 4 teams could have taken Grand Finals to Game 7. But Origin Velocity was definitely really good for that one, and it ended up being a fun series to watch.
Yeah, I actually Prospect was, other than Titan, the one. I kept up with honestly all of them, but Prospect to me was probably one of the most entertaining because, like you said, Squirrel, all 4 teams were in the semis were insanely good. I honestly thought Velocity would win just because I gotta support my man Oinko.
Oinko
But
Beast.
Oinko Beast. But I think Faded, they definitely, in my opinion, should have made finals.
Mhm.
I think just the pressure of like locking in that spot for grand finals, like it gets to you. And then like knowing that you have like a lead like that in a series, you start to like kind of relax, think you got it in the bag. But credit to Origin, because they fought back hard, and probably that was, in my opinion, those 3 games that they won were the best games they played all playoffs. And I think the Flurry and Velocity series, yes, like you said, it was heartbreaking, but it was still really good and entertaining. And I think both teams could have made it. It really just came down to who played as a team better.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, semis was nuts, and I do feel like Faded looked ahead to the grand finals before they had actually secured it, and it slipped away. So I mean, in a way, I almost wish Faded made it more than I wish Flurry made it, because the guys on Faded are so nice and they deserved it, and they came out of nowhere that season and they almost made it happen. So, but I do think we did get the best grand finals we could have gotten, and that was, see, that Prospect Grand Finals was probably the best Grand Finals we got the entire weekend. That series was nuts. It was like, at first Origin was popping off when they normally don't start off hot, and then Velocity fights back. Then Origin's about to secure it, and then Velocity comes out of nowhere and wins it. And dude, I mean, I know we're not to the whole Finals MVP thing, so I won't even spoil it. But I want to call out 2 guys, and that's Lightning and Vincel. Those 2 guys literally played a 1v1 for the Grand Championship, and that was a crazy series. I predicted Velocity to win 4-3 on the cast because I did think Velocity had a little more firepower, but Origin, I think they made it a lot closer and a lot more of a hard work for Velocity to claim that championship than they expected it to. Like, Velocity looked shell shocked for the first part of that series, and I'm glad to see they brought it back because they had a really good team. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's Wanko Diff, so that's Velocity's championship.
Yeah, I you know I was surprised by how well these people played, and we might not be to the MVP part, but I'll go ahead and say it. I don't care. I'm a manager. I do what I want. I think Vincel, to me, looked like the standout best player in Prospect, and I'll be honest with you. As soon as that series was over, I pulled up everything I could to see if he was a Smurf. Like, the man played so good, and I was like, "There's no shot. There's no shot." But then I was like, Oinko Beast don't need a Smurf on his team to win.
True.
The man has sat in too many rival scrims and watched for him to need a Smurf on his team. But Vincel was my pick for MVP, and Velocity taking it 4-3 just, I think, solidified that, because I think he wanted it a little more than Lightning God.
Yeah, I think it really could have honestly gone to anybody on Velocity.
Hmm.
First of all, Squirrel, that's an abuse of power. I'm gonna have to report you.
Whoops.
But I think Cotney was the underrated player of that series. I think he played a really good support role. I watched the series, and I think Venzel and Olenko kind of just monkeyed. He kind of allowed them to do that with the play style that they have. People are gonna call me biased, but I know Oinko's gonna watch this, so I got to give Oinko my MVP vote, just because like you said, he sits in a lot of rival scrims, and I think he honestly learns from how other people play. And I think that's why he's always been, or like he's a good player in Prospect, is that he's one of the few players that like actually like takes in the game well and like learns from it as well. So I'm gonna give it to Oinko. I think it could go to anyone, honestly. But yeah, I'm gonna have to give it to Oinko Beast.
I'm right there.
What do you got?
I'd also like to give it to Oinko Beast. Like Bob said, Oinko's adaptability to see how people play and put that right into his own game is crazy for a prospect player, I'd say. Like, he's got some of the best implementation I've seen in any player in a while. Like, as a learning coach, I'd say that's one thing I'd love to see in one of the players I'd love to coach. Like, just to be able to take in any information you see or get and just take it, put it into your team's play, and just make it work and take a game. Not even that, not even a game, a whole series for a grand finals is just mad. So big props to Oingo Beast. You have my MVP.
I'm gonna have to agree here with Magic. The two people on both teams that stood out to me was Venzel and was Lightning God. That I think he put it perfectly when he said they played a 1v1 for the grand finals. I don't think I could have worded that any better. So I'm gonna steal that from you and use that as well. But great series overall. I don't think I would have wanted any other two teams to make it there after watching that series. And but I think I'm gonna have to give the edge, not only just because he won, but just because of like just the amount of pressure that he put on. Like, he was just all over the field, and I know Lightning God was too, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit more out of Lightning God than I did, and not taking anything away from what he did. But I'll have to give my MVP in that matchup to Venzel as well.
Um, and one thing to remember was Klex is technically the starter instead of Oinko, and Oinko did not even make it seem like he was a sub. He just fit
Admittedly.
right in. Yep. So like most people probably didn't know that, but if you were in prospect, you knew like wait,
Yeah, you
Klex is
knew.
not,
You
and he
knew.
didn't play semis either. So Oinko like made the run with his team, and they made it happen. Um, I think if you watch the first 6 games and not the seventh, you probably give it to Lightning. But Vincel scored like what 3 goals and then bumped and assisted for the last one or something like that. But just because I'm biased for Lightning from playing with them, I am going to give it to Lightning because I do feel like if I had to pick a player to have on my team that entire series, I would pick Lightning
Mhm.
because I feel like if you put Lightning with 2 other players of your choice, he sticks out above the rest for the entire series. I do think Vincel won the championship because of how accurate his shooting was in Game 7, but I don't think Origin ever gets to a Game 7 if Lightning's not playing how he was, so I definitely think he's my choice.
True. And I think that's a pretty good summation of Prospect League, and we've got a fun one coming up in Challenger League. So we'll let the guy that probably had the most unfortunate run in Challenger
Yeah.
take that one away. Go for it, Mr.
All
Logan.
right. I'd like to start on the other side of the bracket, not Snowstorm, because I've got a lot.
Sure
I've
you
got a
would.
lot. I've got a lot to say about the other side, on my side. So on the other side, we got Orbit versus Drakes. That series was
Amazing.
entertaining.
Yeah.
It was a Game 7 thriller, as they'd say. Rockerman was probably sitting there looking at his script like, "What? This is exactly what I wanted." Like, it was such a great game from both teams. Sad to see Drake's go out. I thought they were going to make it to the finals after Dissolved got beat by them, but Orbit played the game of their life,
Mhm.
making it to the finals there. But my side, oh, here we go. Coming into an hour before the game, I get messaged by Fate. He says, "Yo, local, my account's been hacked. We get this man Squirrel in here to try to resolve the issue." Turns out, Fate got his account banned. So we're out here, we're scrambling because our sub Ace is in a UR scrim. This man didn't dip. We had no warm up, so playing with Ace, we haven't played with in how long? Like a month or two? Venom just wiped the floor of us. I will not lie. We just got wiped. I think our mindset from that game was just kind of gone because of the issues beforehand. Like, props to Venom, they came out storming it. Although we took the first game because of DC issues and we're better at 3v2ing, they should have swept us. I'm being straight up. I'm being straight up. They should have swept us.
Yeah.
We were not on our game that day. But props to Venom for taking it all the way, and my Minecraft, my Scottish friend, my Scottish beast. Well done, my man.
Mm-hmm. And like, I felt so bad being the one that had to like make that decision, because normally we don't let people play on alt accounts unless they give like 4 or 5 days advance. That way people can't ban evade. But you know, I made an exception for this. This was playoffs, and I was like, if you can just screen share your screen, bro, and show me you're not banned, I'll let you play on whatever account you want to play on. And he was like, I can't. Screen share ain't working. And that's when I was like, I see. And then he just quietly just like doesn't say a word for a little bit and just pieces. And then they get messaged by him saying that he got his Rocket League banned for like a week. And I was like, that is the most unfortunate thing I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the biggest disappointment of Challenger League, because Snowstorm Venom should have went to Game 7.
Oh yeah.
And honestly, if Snowstorm was full roster, might not even went to Game 7. Could have finished in like 5 or 6. So that was my disappointment for the
Yeah.
semis.
For Challenger, the Drake series, that was, in my opinion, the series of the Challenger playoffs. Just because of the fact that every game was butt clinching. Like, everyone was close almost. The Game 7 was one of the most intense Game 7s we've ever had. The Venom and Snowstorm, I'm not gonna lie, I was the coach for locals team. That was a disaster. Like, I remember just getting told, like, Fate's not here, gotta play with A's, and I'm just scrambling trying to figure out stuff for them to do. Like, I'm trying to tell them how to play, but I got my org playing in the same game, so I'm like, I don't want them to lose either. So I wanted both teams. If honestly both teams could have played in finals, I would have wanted that to happen. But not how the cookie really crumbles. I don't know how somebody gets banned right before a playoff game. I thought Challenger honestly had the best. In my opinion, I think Challenger had the most entertaining and competitive playoffs, just because every team had such a good like run, or every team was good. You know, big props to Venom. Got me a gold tag. So, not going to complain about that one, but I think Venom definitely deserved to win. You know, winning back to back, and plus last season was their first time ever making playoffs. So I think they're proving that when they make playoffs, they're a good team. But I believe Orbit, the other team in the grand finals, correct?
Yep.
They honestly put up a good fight. I know it wasn't super close, but if Venom wasn't peaking, I think Orbit still could have won that series easily.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Do you want to go, Magic?
No, you're good.
All right. I'd have to agree. That Orbit Drake's. I don't know if I'm gonna just say it and be like that could be match of the season. Because I know Squirrel had a couple good matches himself up there. May not have ended the right way with a good match, but he had some good matches throughout this playoff run. Some series, but that Orbit Drake's was just unbelievable. I think that is easily a nomination for series of the series season. And then Snowstorm, and I hate to say this, local. I really
Go ahead,
do.
say it.
I
We
hate
are.
to say this. Your sub, who you didn't play with all season long, played better than both you and your other starter in Kaysen.
I agree.
My
agree.
personal opinion, you let your mental down when that ban happened. It wasn't your sub that killed your series, it was you and Kaysen.
I've seen
And-
I've seen Kaysen play in rival league games and carry, and the same Kaysen was not there after the
Oh,
fate
yeah.
ban.
I don't know. I don't
can
know
agree.
what happened.
I
but
can agree. Our mentals just weren't there. Kaysen was. I was trying my best. Kaysen was off his game. I won't lie. Like I love him all. He was off game more than I've ever seen him before. If I could, like, I don't know how to word it properly. Like he just didn't seem right. There's like something on with him, but I guess that's the problem you get with taking a previously toxic known player. But we move
Yeah.
on. We go next season and
Yeah,
we possibly win.
you go next season exactly, but like I was starting to watch that series and I was like, why hasn't this guy played in any of your season matches? Because like from looking at him and watching him play, like he honestly, watching him, I was like, all right, well, he deserves to play in this playoff game. Like he was showing himself, and he was going out there and he was playing with his heart, even though he hadn't touched the field all season long. So, I definitely want to give props to your sub who, didn't touch the field all season long. I know you picked him up a little later in the season too. It was like a third of the way through the season, so
Yep.
he was there for most of the season, but for him to you guys be like, all right, well, you have to play. Like, there's no like, we want you to play. You have to play.
Mm-hmm.
And him to perform the way he did really surprised me. So I want to give a hats off to him as well. But yeah,
We love
but
A's.
Venom, Venom blew my mind once I saw them take that. I just knew. Krim is a good friend of mine, and seeing the training and the work that he put in leading up to that grand finals match, and just playing with Luca. I know he was playing with Luca a lot, and Luca was helping him and giving him feedback, and like I'd sit in the I'd sit in the VC with them two playing, and Cram would just screen share, and I would be playing, and then I'd just stop because I'd just watch them two play. And Cram is something special. I would consider a hard carry of a team. He plays with his heart on his shoulder. He may seem like he doesn't care about the game or whatnot, but we all know he does. He cares a lot. He's a very passionate, outgoing person. So I want to say congratulations to him. And well deserving to him to get that done. Great overall performance by that Venom Russell making that run yet again.
Yeah, that Orbit series, the first one versus Drake's, that was fun to watch. Like, of all the series that I didn't cast, that was the one that had my eyes just glued to the screen when I should be doing homework. Like, that was great. And I think DJD and Diformia as a duo got that team so much farther than I expect them to. Diformia, I feel like he scored the easiest goals ever, but he never missed a shot that was given to him. And you can say what you want about Diformia. A lot of people are like, "Oh, he's overrated, dude." He got that team to the grand finals. I think that, and I won't even talk about Snowstorm. I feel like Speed's right, as did play like he wasn't a sub, and I do think with Fate being banned, no matter what, just the mentals were just completely screwed up. If they were not facing Cram, I think they would have had a better chance to maybe pull that game out with a sub, but Cram beast. And I mean, can we just give Cram the MVP at this point?
I think
Yeah.
everybody knows that. Yeah.
I'm saying, do we even need to do an MVP part? I think.
No,
Yeah,
I don't.
yeah, we
I
do,
don't
yeah, we
think
do.
so, dude. I
Oh,
mean, he
you've
was.
gotta-
Yeah, I know. I'd like to say,
Yeah.
from what I've heard from Cram himself, all the time, Grev was playing high.
Yeah.
So I'd like to give my MVP to Mr. High himself, Grav.
Ooh,
For,
and a
like,
little
bro,
like
they played with no comms. That's why I've heard they never commed at all. So to get to win the whole league without doing that the whole season, you know what? Not even Grav. The whole team can have MVP.
True. And a fun little fact about Cram, I do think he was a prospect sub last season for Barbarians. He never touched the field, and he like spent the whole season off season asking me if I wanted to team up, and then he hits Challenger, and then I watched last season like, damn, I could have been on that guy's team winning a championship doing nothing. He could have just giving me a free chip. So
Oh yeah.
shout out to Cram, he earned it.
And he's peaked like GC2 now.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna be in Titan in a season. Season 8 will be Titan Cram. It's gonna happen.
We have a long off season. He could get there.
Yeah, honestly.
Hey.
With Cram. Okay, I forgot. Never mind. Just
Cram
I don't know.
MVP.
Oh yeah.
What are you gonna say?
I feel like I honestly know what I was gonna. Oh yeah, Cram. This is kind of a weird little fact. Cram was actually on the trade block mid-season because they went through like a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of like straight losses.
He wanted to go to Speed's org.
Yeah.
He did. Once my org kind of started falling apart, he said, "I'm ready to come to your org." When I told him no, I remember this. I told him no because beginning of the season, I knew he was going to be something special. Because him and I, mod team, hanging out, playing, talking to each other, I knew it was going to be something special. And I said, "Yo, are you coming? Are you going to be Samurai?" Like, I just picked my new org, just rebranded. I was like, "Yo, come be a Samurai." And he kept telling me no, and he meant it. So then when he wanted to come to me, I was like, "No. I'll find someone else, or I'll make it roll." And my roster did fall apart even worse than
the Sam. To be honest, that Samurai team were unstoppable until we played them.
Until Lancer.
When they had Lancer, they were the best team.
Played you guys, your team just started slowly deteriorating. It's like a slow death. That's just what it felt like. It's like it needed to be put out like a wilting flame.
And it was weird because and I'm not gonna take anything away from that series because I watched that series. But it honestly had nothing to do with the fact that they lost. It was just the fact that for some reason, and Lancer had already talked about maybe not playing next season. That was just like did it. He was done. He kind of mailed it in. He let it slip. The fact that Steve was going to start having his baby anytime soon. So I had to get Bale to go non-playing. Because he wasn't going to end up being able to make it at all, and picking up a sub. With all that happening, for some reason, Lancer shipped it in, and it caused Steve to kind of ship it in a little bit, and it fell apart. It was really sad to see, especially the fact that last game of the season, Samurai played Drakes with me subbing up someone who hasn't hit Chally MMR and going to game 5, and then they sweep them literally from Wednesday, and then the next Monday with an actual Chally player, they get swept. And you could just tell that they shipped it in, and it was really sad to see. Because I thought that was my golden team, and I was like, "Yo, I'm gonna have first season as a GM. I'm gonna ship it in, and I'm gonna get me a golden tag." And I was all excited. But it is what it is. You win some, you lose some, you learn. Overall, great season though by everyone in that Chally.
So far, it's Jorbage diff, Oinko diff, and Cram diff.
No, not Cram diff, not Cram diff.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side.